Hello, welcome to the Echo Tips Podcast. In this week's episode, we're going to be dealing with hardware. That's right. We're going to discuss some of the new hardware for the Amazon Echo line of devices. In particular, we're going to be looking at the Amazon Echo Show and some of the changes therein. But before we get into any sort of detail, we're going to go to a brief message about our podcast, and then we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by the New Vision program at Goodwill. We're also grateful for the kind use of WVTF Studios. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments living in Southwest Virginia. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving the New River, Roanoke, and Shenandoah Valleys of Virginia. Goodwill's mission services help individuals with disabilities and disadvantages to get back to work and gain greater independence. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. So hello and welcome back to the Echo Tips Podcast. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be dealing with the new hardware and equipment from Amazon, in particular their Echo line of devices and the Echo Show line of devices. Today we're mostly going to zero in on just the Echo Show line and very likely tackle the traditional Echoes that were announced the fall of 2020 on another episode. So let's delve right into this. Before I do that, though, I'd like to welcome our returning listeners. And for our new listeners, traditionally new listeners, we highlight little features and skills and things you can do on your Amazon Echo. But today we're doing something a little different. We're stepping away and just kind of addressing some of the new hardware features. Okay, so just for clarity, the traditional Echoes and the Echo Dot have no screens at all. It's totally verbal interaction or pressing buttons on the devices. Today we're going to, however, look at the Echo Show line of devices, and they have screens on them, which allows you to interact with them, to see content on them, pictures on them, use them as a digital picture frame, use them play videos, use them to see recipes or diagrams on the screen, all sorts of things, video conference and the like. So those are big distinctions, and you can even mess around with some of the settings, some of the basic settings on screen via touch screen. Okay, so that just gives you a little idea of the Echo Show. Now, historically, going back, and my brain is a little Swiss cheese here, the Echo Show 8 was one of the first models that came out. Now, you're going to typically hear this designation. It's the Echo Show 5, or it's the Echo Show 8, it's the Echo Show 10. What does that mean? It's typically based on the screen size, the approximate screen size, on the diagonal, so measuring from one top corner down to the other bottom opposite corner on the diagonal. So you have the 5-inch, obviously it's going to be on the diagonal 5-inch, that's your smallest model, the 8-inch, which is slightly bigger, and then your 10-inch model is what we're going to look at. Now originally I believe the 8-inch was the very first model they ever released, and then they followed that up with a 10-inch model, and then I think they went back and rolled back and released a 5-inch model. But these generations and models and years of these can be a little confusing, especially if you're looking for very specific feature sets. And so you do well to look at this carefully on the website. But I'm just going to gloss over the newest ones. These are ones that were shipped June of 2021. So let's first look at the Echo Show 5. This is the second generation model, like I said, shipping in June. Approximately $85 in cost. And by the way, screen size not only reflects screen size, but the overall size of the equipment. So often you're going to find that a larger screen means you're going to have more robust, larger speakers, maybe even a subwoofer. It's also going to play a part in how many pixels you can display on the screen, so the resolution and things like that. So just bear that in mind. So the Echo Show 5 second generation that was shipped in June has a 5.5-inch screen with a 960 resolution by 480 resolution screen, and that's still per inch probably really high. It's a smaller screen, so there's less pixels that can be squeezed on it. Your speakers in that model, it's only got one speaker that's 1.7 inches in size and has a 2 megapixel camera. Okay, now also it has a built-in camera shutter for privacy, so a physical shutter, if I understand correctly, that you can actually flip over there. And of course it has the traditional microphone camera off button thing where you can, shut off her ears, just like every Echo has, even ones without screens. So it just gives you a little bit of an idea about that model. Around $85. Okay, so let's move forward from there. Oh, I do want to mention briefly, I'll cover it when we cover the 8-inch. So let's move over to the 8-inch, which is the brand new model. Now, they've had a number of models of this. They had a first generation, and now we're on to the second generation, which is approximately $129.99. Let's just say $130 for the sake of rounding up. Obviously, it's going to have a bigger screen, as we described. It's an 8.0 inch screen with 1280 resolution by 800, and it looks like it has two 2-inch speakers in it and a 13 megapixel camera. It also has the built-in camera shutter and, of course, your traditional microphone on-off thingy like all of them have. Okay, so there you go. Now I'm going to add, software-wise, this one has an interesting feature. I think it's called Stay in Frame, so that when you're in a video conference, the camera takes kind of a wider angle shot, and you'll use software to kind of track your face and crop it in real time to kind of keep your face centered to anybody else on the other end of the video conference that's following along with you. Now, best as I could tell, the Echo Show 5 did not have that feature, but the 8 does. Okay, so that just gives you a little quick idea. Around $130, that model. I will also add that this model and the 10, which we're about to talk about, also support Zoom. Now, the documentation on Amazon's website is pretty bad, as is Zoom's website. They say Echo Show 8 and 10. But not all the Echo Show 8 and 10s and all the generations support it, but definitely the newest models do. So this Echo Show 8 second generation that was released here in June 2021 does support Zoom capability. So if you had a Zoom link on your calendar and you had your calendar connected to your Echo, you could just say, hey, I want to join my next Zoom meeting on the calendar or whatever, and it would just automatically do that. It also, I learned, has the capacity that if it's a meeting you don't know about or isn't on the calendar, it'll pop up a dialog, I believe, where you can input your meeting ID number and your PIN code. So that's kind of cool. So I just thought I'd bring that in. But if you have any interest in going and getting an older Echo Show 8 or an Echo Show 10, you want to make sure, dig into the documentation that do they or do they not support Zoom. Right now, I'm just going to tell you that the newest ones do. The Echo Show 8 here, second gen, does. Okay, so let's move on over. And that's not to say you still don't have video conferencing through the Amazon video conferencing service. And I think you also have Skype capability if you wanted to use that. Although I haven't heard much about that in a long time. All right, so let's move over to the Echo Show 10. Now, I believe this was announced in the fall, but actually didn't ship till around February of 2021. This is the third generation 10-inch model, and as the screen is, relatively on the diagonal 10 inches. This one runs $249.99. I believe that cost may have come down because I feel like it was more than that. It's 10.1 inch screen, 1280 by 800 resolution. It looks like. Feel free, by the way, everybody, to check me on these figures if you have very specific needs. Also, it has two 1-inch tweeters and a 3-inch woofer, so if you want to rattle your desk, put this bad boy on there and put on some bass-filled music. So that's pretty cool. Also has a 13 megapixel camera, and of course it has that built-in camera shutter, and it also has the microphone on-off thing. Now it also has this really neat feature, which I think if I was going to buy one, I might do this, because I do a lot of video conferencing with my family due to COVID. But has this other unique feature It's the motion motor system in the bottom of it. So this allows you, it takes it a step further than the software I described on 8. It literally can track you around and spin the unit on a table to track you when you're in a video conference to keep you in frame. Additionally, you could do it with other things, like you're doing recipes in the kitchen and the screen's pointed one direction, but you're walking over here to the stove. Well, it'll spin the screen around so you can continue to keep your eyes on the recipe. So that's pretty cool too. And I work with a lot of visually impaired students, so they might not always know whether they're in frame, or whatever, or they're getting an up the nose shot or whatever. So this, although it doesn't pivot that way, but you get the idea. This could help keep people in frame. So that's kind of cool, and that's taking it a step further beyond software. Now, whether it's going to have software that complements that as well, like the 8 did, I don't really know, but it definitely has the actual motorized unit to spin it around. So that's at $249.99. And as I stated, also will support Zoom. Okay, but that's just a quick rundown of some of these new Echo shows. You're going to also find that they have a lot of fabric around the back of them, so you can choose different colors to match your decor and things like that. All right, well, I'm going to sum it up there. That was probably long enough. Maybe we'll tackle the Echo Dot and the traditional Echoes and their new form factor that was released this past fall. I've never talked about that, so we might talk about that a little bit next time. If you'd like to learn more about what I'm doing, you can check out goodwillvalleys.com/newvision, and you can always tweet us or send us a Facebook message at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys. But it's time to start using some of the information that you've learned, maybe even practicing some of the things you've learned from past episodes. I'm David Ward for the New Vision program, and we thank you for listening.
Thanks, Dave. In conclusion, let me tell you a thing or two. This episode is brought to you by New Vision at Goodwill Industries of the Valleys, and it is also made possible in part by a grant from Community Foundation serving Western Virginia. And there's more. We're also grateful for the kind use of WVTF Studios. New Vision is a program of Goodwill that provides information services and assistive technology training to individuals with visual impairments living in Southwest Virginia. For more information, check out our website at goodwillvalleys.com/newvision, with no spaces. Goodwill Industries of the Valleys is a nonprofit organization serving the New River, Roanoke, and Shenandoah Valleys of Virginia. Goodwill's mission programs help individuals with disabilities and disadvantages to get back to work and gain greater independence. These shows are provided for educational purposes. This podcast may not be retransmitted, sold, or reproduced without written permission from New Vision. Thanks for listening.